there. I'm so excited to see you, but it's probably hard to see my emotion. With these masks, it's hard to tell, but we can't take them off. So, our first project, we're going to be making emotion masks. So you can see I'm happy or sad. Maybe even surprised or nervous. Let's get started. So these are the supplies you'll need: scissors, a permanent marker, a pencil with eraser, some kind of stick. Popsicle sticks or jumbo sticks will work great. A bit of glue, and crayons. First, we're going to take our piece of paper and fold it in half. Line up the corners as best you can and press down. Remember, folding paper is a two-handed job. Then we're going to fold once more so that we're dividing our paper into 4 boxes. Open up your paper and you'll see your 4 boxes. So if you like, you can trace over those fold lines so that you can see your boxes very clearly. Next, we're going to make the shape of the mask. So I like to think of it as kind of a jelly bean shape. So I start with a big curve. I'm kind of sketching my lines. It's probably kind of hard for you to see with the pencil, but once I trace over it with my permanent marker, you'll be able to see those lines a lot better. So I'm making sure that big curve goes all the way across my box. Now, once I put that big curve, like I'm making a smiley face in each box, I'm going to make the top of my jelly bean shape. So I'm going to curve up and down and then up again to connect it to the other side. So I will do that for all 4 boxes, making that jelly bean shape. Then it's time to trace with your permanent marker so that you can see your shape really well. Now, once you have your jelly bean shapes traced with your permanent marker, it's time to decide what kind of face that you want to make. Remember, we're only making the mouth because I'll be able to see your eyes. So I would love it if you would have at least one of your mouth shapes to be a happy face, because I'm hoping that sometime during our art classes that you will be happy. You could do a silly face, you could do a nervous face, an angry face. I will have an example page to give you some ideas of what you might want to do. Now I'm working in a Sharpie marker so that you can see what I'm doing, but I would suggest to you that you use pencil first so that if you make a mistake, you can always go back, erase, and then trace when it's just the right way that you want it to look. Now it's time to color. Use your hand To compare the colors that you have available to you to find what the right skin tone for yourself is. Before you color on your emotional mask, you want to test it on your piece of paper, the part where your mask is not, to make sure that you have the right color. Remember, sometimes you can feel like you have black, but it's really a dark blue. Or maybe there was a brown or a peach that didn't quite work. So make sure that you try and find the correct skin tone that you feel is the right one for you. Now, once I find the correct skin tone, I like to color in the areas where I would have skin for all 4 of my masks. That way I won't forget what color I was using. A lot of times I like to use more than one color. So for example, you can see that I used kind of a sepia that's a lighter brown for my skin tone, and now I'm using a darker brown to add what's called value. Value is the lightness and darkness in a work of art. So sometimes I'll create like a little shadow. You can also use value by using the same color, but just pressing a little bit harder in certain areas where you want it to appear a bit darker. So here I've filled in all of my skin tones. I went outside the lines a little bit on purpose, but I just wanted to show you that if you do, no big deal, because remember, we're going to be cutting these out. So next I get to add other colors like the inside of the mouth, maybe from that little spittle from my tongue sticking out, a red tongue or a pink tongue, maybe some different colored lips. So be creative with it. So don't forget to test your black if you're doing the inside of your mouth to make sure that it's not a different color that appears to be black but it's really something else. And make sure you press harder in areas that you want to appear to be darker. Remember, that's called value. Value is one of the elements of art. It's just going to make your artwork look more realistic. So for example, when you see me coloring in this tongue, at the top of the tongue, I'm going to press a little harder with my red crayon so that it appears that there's a little bit of a shadow from the inside of my mouth. Now, once you finish all of your coloring, it's time to carefully cut out each emotional mask piece. So sometimes I like to separate each one of my boxes. A lot of times that will just make it easier for me to neatly cut around each little jelly bean shape. So now it's time to glue. So choose whichever emotional mask you want to start with first and flip it over to the back. You'll need to get your glue. I like to have just a tiny little cup with a small paintbrush so that I can easily smooth and apply the glue to the edges. Don't forget to wipe off your brush on the edge. And notice I'm not putting glue in the middle of my mask. I'm just painting glue around the edges. A little bit goes a long way. Next, I'm going to get my popsicle stick, or if you don't have a popsicle stick, you can use a regular stick from outside. Be creative with this. Anything that you can press down and use as a handle. And then we'll just sandwich the 2 pieces together so that it's double-sided. I paint glue along the edges. And I'll even put a little bit of glue on the popsicle stick. And then I'll sandwich the 2 together. Make sure you really press and smooth down so it's sticking well. So I've repeated the steps for my second mask. sandwiching it between my popsicle stick, or you could even use a straw if that's all you have, a plastic straw. And then you'll notice that the mask doesn't perfectly line up. So if it bothers you a lot, you can take your scissors and just give it a little trim. Now, if it doesn't bother you, then you can skip this step. So now we get to enjoy being able to express how we can't stand Corona. Or happy that we're back in school. Maybe you're feeling silly because you have this mask on your face. Or maybe you're shocked that you did such a great job on your art. Remember, artists, broken crayons still work. Have fun.